When I'm teaching someone about mixing, what it is, how to do it, how it works, it's always a bit challenging to explain what the end goal of mixing is, because it's not just about being able to hear all the inputs on the stage equally. It's not just about saying, okay, I can hear the drums, I can hear the guitars, I can hear the vocals, so we're there, everything's good. There's actually more to it than that. Quite a bit more, and that's what I want to teach you about today. Hey, and welcome to the mixing process. I'm really glad you're here watching this today because what I want to talk about in this video really is the foundation of what we do as audio engineers. So if you want to be truly great at what you do with audio, you have to understand this topic pretty thoroughly. And to help this idea translate to you, I want to give you a gift in this video. See, part of learning something is having the correct mindset about that thing, which is what this video is about, as well as the practical step-by-step head knowledge. So that's why I created the 7-step mix, and you can find this guide on my website. It'll walk you step by step through any mix that you find yourself working on. And if you follow this guide, you'll find that your mixes become more consistent. You'll find that they take way less time, and you won't find yourself feeling confused about what to do next in the mixing process, because you'll have a systematic plan that will get you the results that you've really been working for. So if this sounds like it'd be helpful to you, you can download it completely for free on my website, themixingprocess.com. This is the head knowledge part, what you're going to find in this guide. Now let's talk about the mindset part, because this is equally critical to the mixing process and really being good at this art. Let me explain mixing this way. If you're kind of new to mixing, you don't really know what it is. Mixing is when we take all of the inputs from the stage, every instrument, every vocal channel, everything, and we put it all together into one mix. We can blend levels, we can do all kinds of things to make that mix sound really good, sound really pleasing. This video is entitled How to Mix Music Telling the Story. So there's an element of this that's actually storytelling. So to set the stage, let me ask you this question to get your mind kind of headed in the right direction. What makes a storyteller a good storyteller? Now, if you think about it for a minute, you might think, okay, a good storyteller uses dynamics in their tone and their expressions. They use colors, they use imagery, they use pictures, they use all these things. They use a variety of emotions to tell the story. And that's what makes a storyteller a good storyteller, when they're really good at using those tools in order to communicate the story that they're trying to tell. So in some sense, anyone can sit down and write words on a page and tell a story. But what sets apart a great storyteller is their ability to move that audience with their storytelling. This is what we're doing when we mix audio. In one sense, anyone can kind of push up faders and make sound come out of the speakers, but only a truly skilled artist can move the audience by telling a story with his mix. So how do we do this? How can we hit this sort of abstract target? How can we become that skilled artist when it comes to mixing sound, mixing audio? Well, there are 3 things that come to my mind immediately when I start thinking about what is it about a really great audio engineer that makes him really good. 3 things. The first thing is the vision. You have to know what good is. Here's what I mean. If you've ever listened to an artist of any kind talk about how they've created a piece of artwork, they usually talk about how they saw something in their head and then tried to replicate it in real life. They have an end goal. They have a vision of what they're trying to get to. So before they even start, they have that vision of where am I trying to go? And then they kind of start making it play out in whatever medium they're using for their artwork. So the way that we can get those inspirational ideas in our own heads is by listening to good music and then asking ourselves, what makes this good? For example, if you're listening to a song that has a really great vocal that you really love the sound of, stop and ask yourself, what is it about this vocal that sounds so good to me? What is it about this drum kit that just sounds so good? And before you know it, you start to be able to identify those specific things that sound really good, and it starts to create this picture of what you can aim for in your own mixes. You start to develop this vision in your mind of where you're trying to go. See, you can't create something good until you know what good is in your head first. So have that vision in your mind before you even start, and that's going to take you a lot further than just kind of aimlessly shooting for something and hoping that you get there one day. Okay, the second thing is resources. You have to know the ingredients and how they fit together. Ingredients meaning you have to know the components of the song. Just like the storyteller knows his characters, he knows their personalities, he knows their environments. You have to know what instruments are playing. What's the roadmap to the song? Where does the song build and then come back down? Where do the different lead lines come in? So if you don't know all these things, it's very difficult to tell an excellent story with them. You also have to get to know the musicians well enough to anticipate when they're going to throw something a little special into the music so that you can highlight that thing and help their story translate correctly. So knowing what's coming before it gets to you is really, really important. The third thing is then to create. So we have the vision, we have all of the ingredients, all the pieces. Now it's time to actually create something with it. And for that, we have our mixing consoles, or if you're mixing in the box, you have the DAW that you're using. So think of your console as your instrument and think of yourself as the band director. So you're playing the song alongside the band, using the console to highlight those moments and create blends of instruments. So just like the storyteller will highlight specific characters or events, your job is to tell that story that the musicians are trying to write. Make their story translate correctly to the audience and help the audience understand what's happening on stage. So you're the bridge between the band and the audience. It's up to you to help that story translate to the audience correctly. So those are my three things. You got to know what good is. You got to kind of have a vision in your mind of what you're going for, a library of sounds and feelings that you're going for, so that when you start mixing, you actually have a vision, you got an idea of what we're trying to create. Then you have to know the ingredients you have. You have to know your band. You have to know the instruments. You have to know how all this stuff is going to fit together. And then the last step is then you can create. You can play that console. You can direct the band with that console. You can do all these things to make that piece of art come together. So remember, your objective is to create music that moves the audience. Just like a great storyteller is a great storyteller because he can use the tools in his toolbox to move the audience. An audio engineer is the same thing, just with sound. The band creates that sound, and then you fashion it into that piece of artwork. So the goal is to walk away from your mix, not just saying, it worked, the event happened, it was fine. Instead, you really want to be able to walk away from your mix saying that was truly art. I was able to connect people to the story and to the music. So that's what mixing is about. That's how we tell the story through a console and through our own mix. That's what we're after. I hope this was really helpful for you. Go be great at what you do. I will see you on the next one.